Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi and we are continuing to read teachings of Lord Caitanya by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So reading chapter number 23, Why Study the Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.55 confirms this relationship between the pure devotee and the Supreme Lord as follows. Visrijati hridayam nayasya sakshad dhari ravashabhito pyaghau ghanasha pranaya rashanaya Dritangri Padma Sabhavati Bhagavata Pradhana Uktaha. Quote, if a person's heart is always tied to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord with the rope of love, the Lord does not leave him, even if his remembrance is not perfect. Such a devotee is to be considered first class. The rope of love. Unquote. An example of this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.30.4. When the gopis assembled for their rasa dance with Krishna, Krishna apparently left them. Consequently, they began to chant the holy name of Krishna and being overwhelmed with madness, inquired about Krishna from the flowers and creepers in the forest. Krishna is like the sky. He is situated everywhere. Therefore, by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, we can learn about our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, understand the procedure for regaining Him, and attain the ultimate realization, which is love of Godhead. Next, Lord Caitanya explained to Prakashananda Saraswati how one can achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. First, the Lord quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.21. in which Krishna says that he can be realized only through devotional service executed with faith and love. Indeed, it is devotional service alone which purifies the heart of the devotee and elevates him to the ultimate realization, by which he serves the Supreme Lord with faith and love. Even if one is born in a low family, like a family of chandalas, dog-eaters, one can become filled with transcendental symptoms through realization of the supreme stage of love of Godhead. These transcendental symptoms are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.31. Smarantah smarayantascha mitho gaughaharam harim bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya bibhratyutpulakam tanum. Quote, when the pure devotees discuss subjects dealing with the Supreme Lord, who can cleanse all kinds of sinful reactions from the heart of his devotee, they become overwhelmed with ecstasy and display different symptoms due to their devotional service. Unquote. The Bhagavatam 11.2.40 also states, quote, when pure devotees chant the holy name of the Lord, due to their spontaneous attachment for the Lord, they sometimes cry, sometimes laugh, sometimes dance, sometimes sing, and so on, not caring for any social convention." Unquote. We should understand, therefore, that Srimad Bhagavatam is the real explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, of the Brahma Sutra, for it is compiled by the same author, Vyasadeva himself. In the Garuda Purana it is said, "Arthayam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinirnaya Gayatri Bhashya Ruposau Vedartha Paribrimhita Granthostadasha Sahasra Srimad Bhagavata Bhidha Srimad Bhagavata Bhidha." Quote, Srimad Bhagavatam is the authorized explanation of the Brahma Sutra, and it is a further explanation of the Mahabharata. It is the explanation of the Gayatri Mantra and the essence of all Vedic knowledge. This Srimad Bhagavatam, containing 18,000 verses, is known as the explanation of all Vedic literature. Unquote. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisharanya asked Sutta Goswami to explain the essence of Vedic literature. In answer, Sutta Goswami presented Srimad Bhagavatam as the essence of all the Vedas, histories, and other Vedic literatures. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.13.15, it is clearly stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta knowledge, and that one who relishes the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam has no taste for studying any other literature. In the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the purport of the Gayatri Mantra is described. Quote, "I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Truth." Unquote. Thus, from the first verse, Srimad Bhagavatam deals with the Supreme Truth, which is described in the Bhagavatam as the source of creation, maintenance, and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya directly indicate Lord Shri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. That Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is more explicitly presented later in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, where Vyasadeva asserts that Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and that all others are either his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of those portions. Srila Jiva Goswami has still more explicitly developed this subject in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has substantially explained the subject of Shri Krishna in his treatise Brahma Samhita. The Samaveda also verifies the fact that Lord Shri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. In his prayer, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam first proposes that Lord Shri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature for the absolute personality of Godhead is to be accepted, it should be the name of Krishna, meaning all attractive. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has affirmed in many passages that He is the original personality of Godhead. And this was confirmed by Arjuna, who cited great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. Also in the Padma Purana, it is stated that of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name Kṛṣṇa is the principal one. Therefore, although the name Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and although all the different forms of the Lord are identical with Vasudeva, in this text, Vasudeva principally indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Shri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, those who are most perfect in the renounced order of life. Vasudeva, or Lord Shri Krishna, is the cause of all causes, and everything that exists is an emanation from him. How this is so is explained in later chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana because it contains transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. The history of Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. Shri Vyasadeva, drawing on his mature experience of transcendental knowledge, compiled it under the instruction of Shri Naradaji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva has compiled all the Vedic literatures, the 4 Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra, the Puranas, and the Mahabharata. Yet he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write about the transcendental activities of the Lord, Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna's transcendental activities are specifically described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the canto considered to contain the substance of the whole work. One should not approach the 10th canto immediately, but should approach it gradually by developing knowledge of the subject matters first presented. Generally, a person with a philosophical mind is inquisitive to learn of the origin of the creation. He sees the night sky and naturally asks, "What are the stars? How are they situated? Who lives there?" and so on. All these inquiries are quite natural for a human being because his consciousness is more developed than the animals. In answer to such inquiries, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam says that the Lord is the origin of the creation. He is not only the creator, but the maintainer and annihilator as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time, and finally, it is annihilated by his will. Thus, he is the supreme will behind all activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in the Creator, but that is due only to their poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientists create Sputniks, and by some arrangement or other, they are thrown into outer space to fly for some time under the control of a scientist far away. All the universes and the innumerable planets within them are similar to such Sputniks, and they are all controlled by the personality of Godhead. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is the chief among all living personalities. All living beings, from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living entities. And above Brahma, there are many other living beings with individual capacities. The personality of Godhead himself is also a living being, as much an individual as other living beings. But the Supreme Lord is the supreme living being, with the greatest mind and the supermost inconceivable energies in great variety. If a man's mind can produce a Sputnik, we can very easily imagine that a mind higher than man's can produce wonderful things far superior to man-made Sputniks. A reasonable person will accept this argument, but stubborn, obstinate people will not. Srila Vyasadeva at once accepts the Supreme Mind as the Parameshvara, the Supreme Controller, and offers his respectful obeisances to him. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita and all other scriptures written by Srila Vyasadeva, that Parameshvara is Sri Krishna himself. This is specifically stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself says that there is no Paratattva, summum bonum, other than him. Therefore, the author at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Jai. We're going to stop here for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com. Read these books along with us, share them with all of your friends, and we shall see you next time. Hare Krishna.